Welcome to the Fulfilled After 50 podcast. We are your hosts, Alice
and Carol. Join us each week for your fun dose of inspiration and healthy tips you can use every day so you can live the healthy and fulfilled life you desire and deserve.
Welcome to Fulfilled After 50, the podcast that you need to be at if you are a midlife woman entering 50 and over. I am one of your co-hosts, Alice.
And I'm Carol.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about intermittent fasting.
That's right. This is a fascinating topic, and a lot of people have strong opinions one way or the other. And we're going to share with you some
benefits and why we do it and why it is like benefits for women like 50 and over, because we're different than we were in our 20s, 30s, and even 40s, really.
That's right. In a lot of good ways and maybe some not so hot ways.
Right.
So, So intermittent fasting is one of those things I've practiced for a number of months. And Alice, when I first mentioned it to her, what'd you say?
I was like, no way. I am not doing that. I don't even know why you would deprive yourself of food.
That's right. She looked at me like I was a crazy woman. But after having done some research.
So yes, lots of research. Sometimes we have to do that to really figure out what it is. But I think when we get to a point in our lives, like if we are having like sleep issues, if we are having like a slower metabolism, if we are complaining of no energy, achy joints, our muscle mass is losing.
Belly fat.
Yes. We want to figure out what we can do, right?
And we're also looking to help prevent dementia, some of our memory issues. We're looking to prevent cancer. And there's lots of benefits to intermittent fasting, which has been around for a long, long time, ever since way back in the age when it was sort of caveman times.
Right.
It was a feast during the summer and a fast during the winter. And people's bodies just kind of sort of adapted to that.
Exactly.
So if you're looking for a really good book about intermittent fasting, if you're someone who really wants to do a deep dive, there is one by Dr. Jason Fung that I do recommend. He's a physician in Canada, but he has a great book out there about intermittent fasting.
What's it called?
It is called
How to Lose Weight.
The Complete Guide to Intermittent Fasting is what it's called. Gosh, whoa, I had to think there for a minute. I've been fasting all day today.
See, Carol is a pro at it. So, we just want to go over 7 benefits to it because we always deal with the number 7. We love to give you 7 principles of healthy living, 7 principles of how to live a fulfilled life. Well, this is the 7 benefits to intermittent fasting.
Right, and then we'll touch a little bit about the do's and don'ts.
Yeah. So the first one is you do gain energy.
You think that would be counterintuitive. Now, granted, sometimes, especially if you have been on a high sugar, high carbohydrate diet, the first little bit of fasting will feel pretty crappy.
Exactly.
And you'll feel like a drain of energy. But once your body gets used to not getting its energy from glucose stores and it gets it more from stored fat, you actually find an energy burst.
Right, yes.
So.
And I can attest to that because I do have a pretty clean diet. Like I don't eat, a lot of processed, a lot of sugars. But when I decided to just dive into it, it was brutal. Those first 3 days, I'm not kidding, that was brutal. Like, I just did feel like I was starving to death. And I think, we should say, like, it is not for some people.
Right, it's not for everyone, certainly. And but weren't you glad you went through those 3 days?
Yes.
To experience it?
Well, it was just like that self-will too.
And it really is not for, we mentioned it, people who are diabetic, you really need to be working with your physician on that.
Yes.
It's not for adolescents, anyone who's in a potential growth phase, which is during childbearing, if you're pregnant, if you're lactating, if you're an adolescent, anyone who's in sort of a growth phase, they do not want to practice intermittent fasting. If you've got some serious health issues, specifically diabetes, especially type 1 diabetes and type 2 diabetes, you want to be working with your physician because you will require it's not recommended for type 1, but for type 2 it will require some adjustments in your insulin and what you're taking for your
Yeah, because
for
it
your blood sugar.
naturally it lowers your insulin levels, right?
And it's which you lower your blood sugar, which then requires less insulin because you're not having those big swings. that you have.
Exactly,
Yeah.
right.
So anyhow, that was a little bit extra there about that.
It also improves your inflammation markers also, right? So
right.
it really decreases that inflammation running through your body.
Right.
Yeah. And then it helps us lose that weight and that belly fat. For one, when you are naturally restricting your calories,
Right.
I mean, that is going to actually be a good side benefit of that, right?
Right, and what
Yeah.
causes us to get all that belly fat? It's around it's fat that's around your major organs, your
Right.
heart, lung, your lungs, your liver, all those organs, which is caused essentially by increased insulin levels. So
Right.
naturally, if your insulin levels are lower because you don't have those blood sugar spikes, it's going to decrease that amount of fat storage specifically around those organs in your truncal area.
Exactly. It's going to improve your heart health also. So that will naturally decrease your blood pressure. It lowers your cholesterol. And then, the last thing it does is it increases your muscle mass.
Right, right.
But also it's good for your brain health. I'm all for that. If
You
we-
actually get clearer. I mean,
Yes.
and there's lots of different ways to fast. We're not going to specifically
Right.
address all that, but you can do a very popular one is, sort of that.
It's the 16 8-hour window.
Right.
So like if your last meal is at 6 o'clock at night, which that is the one I do because it's just easy for me. I'm already programmed that way. So my last meal is at 6 o'clock. And then my first meal is going to be at 12 o'clock the next day. So my window is going to be between noon and 6 o'clock.
Right, and even though it's noontime, you're having breakfast because you're breaking your fast.
Yes.
Which is really important how you do that too.
Exactly. So-
Fasting does
yes.
not mean feasting.
Exactly.
When you're allowed to eat, so you do have
Yes.
to be really careful about that. And truly, when you are fasting, you've sacrificed.
Yes.
So for me, anyhow, I really don't want to mess it up. I don't want
Right.
to eat a bunch of junk or eat processed foods or things that are high in sugar. I am
Exactly.
actually even cleaner when I am fasting because you earned that. Not earned it, but you worked hard for it.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So you don't want to sabotage it on your first meal, right?
Right.
So I think that's probably something that we need to adjust to them is how do you break that fast?
Right.
So I break it with just a really, really healthy protein, a really healthy fat,
Right.
and fiber because you want things to keep moving.
Right.
in you.
And the longer your fast is, the smaller amounts of food that you need to take
Right.
in when you're breaking your fast. Because fasting can actually be done just for a period of time every day. It could be done for days on end. I mean, the longest fast is actually over about 362 days, I think it was. And we're not recommending that at all. I'm just saying that it's happened. This gentleman took his vitamins. If you look it up, it's well documented in a number of different books. But we're not recommending that. But there are people who will fast for an extended period of time. And the longer you fasted, the easier you need to ease back into it. But certainly with healthy, clean protein and fats and carbohydrates, it needs to be very clean.
Lots of biblical fasts too. So
Absolutely, yes.
yeah,
To
lots-
this day, to this day, lots of obviously
yes.
religious fasts go on. So, what are some do's and don'ts?
Yeah. So
You want to make sure that you are taking in a lot of water.
all the time. I don't
Right.
even care if you're fasting or you're not
Right.
fasting. You always want to stay hydrated. We're going into those summer months. And if you just are feeling icky and you don't have enough energy, I want you to track what have you drank during the day.
Right. Water is so important. And hydration.
Exactly.
It also is a natural deterrent for your hunger because oftentimes we mistake thirst for hunger. So
Exactly.
drinking plenty of water, a lot of times we recommend half your body weight. You want to make sure that you're definitely taking in plenty of water.
Right. So I think, a lot of people don't understand what can you drink while you are during that fasting time.
Right.
And that you can have black coffee. A lot of them like, oh, I don't know if I can do without. Well, you can have
Yes.
black coffee. Now that takes a lot of will if you are used to a lot of cream and
Right.
sugar. Okay,
Right.
so that completely defeats the point of fast. So you want to have either all water, or you can have black coffee, or you can even drink green tea with lemon, which
Yep.
we do all the time anyway.
And I drink warm water a lot with water
Right.
with lemon,
With
and it's
yeah.
good too, or cold water. So yes, absolutely, that's what
Yes.
you can be having. If somebody's fasting for an extended period of time, bone broth is another thing that helps to replenish your sodium, and also just helps keep you from feeling lightheaded. So you do want to
Yes.
make sure you're taking in plenty of water.
Yes.
You do want to stay very busy. Keeping yourself busy will
Yes.
take your mind off that, because hunger comes in waves.
Yes.
And a lot of times if you just press through that hunger period by staying busy, whether you're at work, taking a walk, talking to a
Yes.
friend, going and doing
Exactly.
some sort of activity,
Yes.
staying busy is really, really helpful. So that's another do.
Yes. Yeah, don't let people sabotage your fasting either. I encounter that a lot when I am at work and we have clients that bring in, oh my goodness, they'll bring in cakes, cookies, and stuff. So if that is a particular area and you find yourself that you may be tempted, just avoid that area. Don't
Right.
even go in there. So a lot of times if that happens, I just completely avoid that room. And I know that you have said, like, in the evening, if you are done with your meal and you have an extended period before you go to bed, then avoid the kitchen.
Right.
Go upstairs.
Upstairs, I do. I stay out of the kitchen. It's just easier.
Yes.
And the other thing that you don't want to do, you don't really want to tell people you're fasting. And the reason why is because
Yes.
you're going to get a lot of saboteurs. And
Yes.
you're all, people who don't really understand it, haven't studied it, are just going to say, I could never do that. You know, is something I could never do. It's
Yeah.
terrible for you. Do your own research. We're all mature, intelligent adults.
Yes.
You want to make sure you make your own decision. If you have health problems, like I say, consult with your physician. But don't tell a bunch of people, because you're going to get all sorts of things. I know
Right.
my particular fasting routine is I eat between the hours of 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. And I do that mostly during the week. When I'm working, it's very easy for me. But I don't really tell a lot of people because
Right.
they go kind of berserk about it.
Right.
And
Like,
but I
you're
don't need to hear
depriving
that.
yourself. You need some food. Eat some
Don't you get
food.
lightheaded?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, aren't you
That
gonna?
can't be
Your blood
healthy.
sugar's gonna drop. So you don't
Yeah.
want to tell a bunch of people. Bottom
Yes.
line to that.
Yeah.
Right. You don't want to fast if you have symptoms that are, if you really are lightheaded,
yeah.
if you're not going through the usual withdrawal from carbohydrates, those are some things you
Exactly.
got to push through. But if you really are not feeling
Feeling
well, you need to go ahead and stop your fast and
Yes.
have something to eat.
Right.
Something that's a quality protein. Don't just go eat something high in carbs or
Exactly.
refined sugar. You need
Yeah.
to have something that's quality.
And you don't have to fast every day. You
Right.
know, even if somebody does do that lifestyle, you can just switch it up and do it maybe 3 days a week and
Right.
see how that works out for you. But on those days that you are not fasting, for one, you need to really, really watch what you're putting in your body.
Right.
You can do that through MyFitnessPal. Is awesome to track your food.
Or
You can just
fitday.com,
do
both of those.
old-fashioned pen and paper and write
Yep.
it down and observe what you are putting in your body.
Right.
Because
Because how it makes you feel.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot, like some of the things that we hear from people are saying, well, I don't know what I'm doing. I just can't lose the weight. Okay, well, what are you consuming during the day?
Right.
And then someone might say, well, I love my iced tea. Well, is that loaded with sugar? Well,
Right. Adding a lot of sugar, that sort of thing. Right.
yes. So those are the things like you need to watch if you are taking off days of fasting. What nutritious foods are you feeding your body? Because you want to stay clean
Right. Right.
during those times.
And just a couple more do's and don'ts. Do make sure that you give yourself a chance. Like it's recommended that you really kind of try it for a month. And Alice can attest to the fact that it took her 3 days to get in. It's taken me a little bit of time too. I've been doing it now for a number of months. I'm down about 15 pounds. I find it really,
Amazing.
really simple because I'm an all or nothing sort of girl. I do that 4 to 8, but I just do it about 4 days a week, primarily during the week. And it's been really pretty easy, but you
Yeah.
do want to make sure that you give yourself time to adjust to that for sure.
Yeah. You know, information can be really confusing. You got so many diets out there. You have so much information on the internet, and sometimes it can get overwhelming.
Right.
So that is the best thing about intermittent fasting that Carol just said, is it's easy.
Right.
There is really nothing restrictive except just taking out the processed foods and the sugar. It's really easy.
Inexpensive?
And you save money. People like it's so expensive to eat healthy, but actually it saves you money. And Ricky, he eats oatmeal every single morning, and I love eating my oats with him too. But
she makes them really good.
The last 2 weeks, Ricky's like, you save me money. Like, you're not eating your oats.
That's right. That's right. And the other awesome thing that I love about it is it's totally flexible. So let's say during the week I have an event I need to go to, something for work, or we have something going on, we're traveling, or if I have like a house church, some sort of an event, I choose that day not to do it. And it's totally flexible because life is meant to be lived.
Right.
So you don't want to be going to a wedding and just eating salad. I mean, you want to be able to flex which days you're fasting, and it's so super simple because you can flex it how you want. So that's another really great advantage to it.
Yeah. So, fit in the fasting however it fits into your schedule. You might need to just play around with it and see what window works for you, but investigate it. If you are in your midlife, it is harder for us to lose the weight. It's harder for us to have the energy. We have sleep issues, so try it out. You really have nothing to lose, except like we said, in those certain special circumstances.
Right.
If you have some health issues going on, please consult your physician. We are not here for that. We basically are here to talk to really like the normal person that doesn't have a lot of things going on. You just can't lose the weight because it's that season of life. So,
A couple questions we get a lot is, can I take my medications and can I exercise? When you're doing your first initial days of a fast, you may not want to be doing your exercise because you are kind of adjusting, but really what you can find is when you're on extended fast, you actually have a bunch more energy. And if you look up cardio during fasting, it's actually been proven to be used in a lot of elite athletes. And if you are an elite athlete, this might not be for you either. That would be another, only because if
you need so much more.
So it's a little bit different for elite athletes, although it is something that is used by elite athletes. It's just used in a slightly different way. So we're not getting, and for medications, you do need to make, your diabetic medications may need to be adjusted, same way with antihypertensives. So you want to make sure that you're talking to your doctor about that.
Exactly.
And if you can, then most people just take whatever medications, or like my vitamins, I take it while I'm eating, because if I take my vitamins and my supplements on an empty stomach, sometimes it makes me a little nauseated. So I just adjust. Instead of taking them in the morning, I take them when I'm eating.
Right.
It works out fine.
Yep. The last thing we'll tell you is that if you choose to do the intermittent fasting and you're fasting during those morning hours, that is a prime time for you to do a light workout, though, because you're going to burn more fat, you're going to burn more calories, and you're going to actually lose more weight. So that is optimal time for you. If you feel like you do not have time, then get up 30 minutes earlier. Okay, let's just be done with the excuses and just do it for you.
Right. Your goal has to be more important to you than your excuses.
Exactly. Yep. So we hope this, helped you in some way, some of these tips. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'd love to answer them. You can pop them actually in the comments. This will be on our YouTube channel as well. But hit subscribe to our podcast, Fulfilled After 55.0, and you can see us here every week.
Yep, on Stitcher or iTunes. And if you're not a part of our free group where we do lives every day, it's on Facebook. The group is called fulfilledafter5050.com. See how we keep it simple for people?
Exactly. Keep it simple. Yes.
That's right.
All right. Have a great day, guys, and we'll see you back here next week with another podcast from us.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.